Good evening, and welcome to another episode of With Mervin. Tonight we step into the interrogation room. My guest is Azard Gumbs of Sinkits, Deputy Political Leader of the People's Action Movement and caretaker for constituency number 4. He wants to represent the people. He wants to be elected. So tonight, we ask the tough questions. We have the real conversation. This is With Mervin. Let's begin.
From Nevis to New York City, from Miami to Atlanta, Texas to Toronto, Korean Boys Global Choice. This is With Mervin, yeah, with Mervin, tuning worldwide, with Mervin, let the truth ride.
Welcome to another episode of With Mervin. Good night to you. It's great to be here again to bring forth to you another edition of With Mervin. The first episode, it was something. It was the launch of With Mervin, and we had the Premier of Anguilla, the Honorable Cora Richardson Hodge. And of course, we invite politicians, commentators, bloggers, candidates, you name it, and to speak about issues affecting or impacting the Caribbean, and not only the Caribbean, but the diaspora, North America, Canada. We'll have guests from all over. So it's just not the Caribbean, and you'll hear and see folks from all walks of life here with us in the studio. Now, so thank you for your support thus far, but while you're here, I must ask you to please subscribe to our YouTube's channel so that you do not miss anything, one of our great shows. And of course, you can like and follow us on Facebook, With Mervin. You just search for With Mervin. Tonight, my guest is, he wants to be the next elected representative of constituency number 4 on St. Kitts. He's an attorney, and he's also the deputy political leader of the People's Action Movement. That's the PAM party on St. Kitts. And I'm speaking about Mr. Azard Gumbs. Welcome to With Mervin.
Thank you, Mervin. It is an honor to be here in studio with you. As you have indicated, you only had one show before me.
Yes.
And so I am your second guest, and I am deeply appreciative of the opportunity here this evening to speak of matters of national interest that affect our Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and of course the region and international affairs as well. I do thank you for the opportunity to be here in studio in New York.
All right, great. And of course it's going to be, you want to run for office, so we're going to have a good time here tonight. No softballs. Well, of course, when you introduce yourself, and when I say no softballs, not that I am going to have any gotcha questions, but I just want us to have a relaxed conversation. I just want you to be in a safe space and to speak from the heart. I do not want you to give the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and especially constituency number 4, any kind of BS. Just relax and be honest with the people, and let us have a conversation. Now, people are still trying to get to know you, and help the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, constituency number 4 in particular, to understand who is Azard Gumbs and why politics, why now?
Well, I grew up in Old Road in constituency number 4. I am the son of a taxi operator and a former police officer. I have lived in Old Road for a number of years. I grew up in Old Road. I could recall growing up in Old Road in an extended family. My grandmother of blessed memory was the head of the household there then. I had my aunts, my mom, my siblings, my cousin, and my uncle. Because of that environment, because of my family, they instilled in me at a very young age the value and importance of education. And that education opens doors that may seem to be impossible. I don't come from a wealthy family. I don't come from one family that is, as persons would say, a high societal status, social status. That's what I meant to say. And so I have had to work sometimes twice as hard, building on the values that were instilled on me, hard work, dedication. And so I present myself now as a product of Old Road to serve the people of constituency number 4.
What do you say to folks who, they say you're a young guy, you just started out your career, in terms of your law firm, shouldn't Azard be focused on establishing himself as an attorney, establishing his law firm that he just started a year or two ago, instead of jumping into politics? Or is it that you can walk and chew gum at the same time?
Well, I must say I was first called to the bar of St. Christopher and Nevis in October of 2015. So this year, 2026, October, will make 11 years of practice. I worked as a Crown Counsel for the government of St. Kitts and Nevis upon my departure for law school, and when I came back home, I worked in the Attorney General's chambers for some time. I worked in the High Court Registry, the Land Registry, the St. Kitts Promotion Agency, and then in 2020, I was the legal counsel for the Ear and Seaporth Authority, SCASPA. Then in 2022, we had the general election. The
And we're going to get into all of that.
Won, and then no sooner than that they won, I received my termination papers.
What did you expect?
and so...
Did you expect differently, though?
No, I didn't expect any differently.
Okay.
But I thought to myself that rather than applying for entrance into another, a private firm, and I thought to myself, it is time now to build my practice. Previously, I had given myself a 10-year mark working for government before I ventured into my private practice. The fate would have it that, that came sooner. And so I looked at the situation in St. Kitts and Nevis. I looked at the fact that, I have an interest in politics. And I looked at the fact that there aren't many persons who are voices of the opposition who could speak truth to power and stand firmly financially, because we understand that in a small society like St. Kitts and Nevis, if you're not speaking in tune with the government, you are sometimes shut out of doors that perhaps your skill would require. You
mean any government? Because this
Yes.
didn't just start.
Yes.
Right.
And so I thought to myself, it's time for me to build my practice. And of course, there is some difficulty balancing private practice and, of course, politics. But I said to myself, if not now, when? The people of St. Kitts and Nevis, I think, have reached a mark whereby many persons are dissatisfied with the type of representation that they receive. I often said to persons, it's not just about telling persons to vote for me or the People's Action Movement, but in addition to telling them to vote for Pam or Azard, I have to convince them to vote. A lot of persons are disappointed in the history of politics that we have. And I want to know, and by placing myself and being accepted by the party, I now place myself to be that change, to inspire persons that, the political system is there. And there are persons who are honest, hardworking, and dedicated to push the country forward.
Let me ask you, what made Pam the right home for you, political home for you? There's Labour, there's PLP. So why Pam?
Well, coincidentally, and I say coincidentally because I grew up with my grandmother. And when I was small, our conversations between me and her would be, childlike. because I was a child. She then passed when I was the age of 10. And then there was my father. And I'm going to bring back the point to my grandmother. My father would have been in the house, and he had been a strong supporter of the People's Action Movement. It is only years after that I realized my grandmother of blessed memory, too, was a strong supporter of the People's Action Movement. And so in growing up, I would have heard the good things that Sir Kennedy would have done, the good things that the People's Action Movement would have done in their time in office. And I thought that, and as I do now, that the People's Action Movement is the bedrock of St. Kitts and Nevis. The St. Kitts and Nevis that we have now, Mervin, has been built based on the actions of the leaders within the People's Action Movement. They are the architect of a modern St. Kitts and Nevis. When we look at rights afforded to persons who before now, if you were born out of wedlock, you didn't inherit anything. When we look at maternity leave, when we look at, and now I'm going to take it to school meals, when I look at the SELF program, when I look at architecture, Port Zante, and when you look at the Sir Kennedy Highway, when the Labour Party then coined it as a highway to nowhere and access into the Southeast Peninsula, I was not around to know how the access to the Southeast Peninsula.
Were you always a supporter of the People's Action Movement, or did you support Labour at one time?
I had always been a supporter of the People's Action Movement. There was a time when we all know that Labour had been in power. And as a child, I took a child's place. And so, although I had my own opinion as to which party I support, growing up and being a teenager, I didn't take politics to be that, oh, Labour is in power and therefore I'm going to be... what I want to say is that while in my teenage years, I focused more on policy than party politics. I focused more on nation building. I was a part of the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association, a youth parliamentarian, and one of the rules of being a part of the association is not to be a part of party politics. And so during my teenage...
So you never supported Labour?
I never supported Labour.
Okay. Now, you've been closely aligned in previous campaigns with a former member of the representative for constituency number 4, the former Lindsey Grant. In 2022, I believe, and probably 2020 or 2022.
In 2020,
you were. At one time, I thought you were the candidate because you were like his what we call the hem, his pants hem. Wherever you see Lindsey Grant, you saw Azard Gumbs. You were through and through the constituency. Months before an election, over a year before an election, I saw you in photos with. I'm getting to the point where I'm saying all of this. I saw you in photos with a notepad, and Azard is writing and talking to the people sitting down under trees and on stones with Lindsey Grant and all of that, going through the campaign or leading up to whatever.
Yeah.
You're running now, but I'm not seeing Lindsey Grant. I'm not seeing Lindsey Grant alongside you. Is it that he's busy? Is it that both of you have some agreement or arrangement, okay, maybe closer onto the election? And come on, let us not kid ourselves. It is very obvious that an election is around the corner somewhere, around the corner, maybe later this year, early next year. So we are a few months away from an election. But I'm not seeing Lindsey Grant with you, and this is not an attack on him. People are asking, so where is Lindsey Grant, or are you on your own out there?
Well, I do have the support of Mr. Grant.
Behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes. I think what
does that do, though? I mean, what happened to in front, everyone, visible? That's the word I'm looking for.
I think at one point in time, Mr. Grant would have, he was the candidate. He ran for some time. And I think looking at it, I mean, last election, he was down over 500 votes. I think he had a long stint in politics. I think at this point in time, there might be some persons who, for whatever reason, might not be in favor of Mr. Grant in the sense that, you know, he wasn't returned, or maybe in favor of some of the things of the party. I come as a new candidate, and I think...
Do you want him to campaign alongside you, even though he lost by 500 votes, you said, or whatever it was? Do you want him to campaign alongside you?
Well, I would like for him at the appropriate time.
So now is not the appropriate time to have Lindsay next to you. You see him as more of a distraction and a negative than a positive? That's what you're saying, or no?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, what are you saying?
I'm saying at this point in time that I guess when the time is right that he will be around.
Okay.
Publicly at this point in time, I think it is an opportunity to build myself, for persons to get to know who Azard Gumbs is, and to build a team around the campaign. Separate and apart from the history of Mr. Grant. Of course, as I said before, this is an opportunity for the people of constituency number 4 to know who Azard Gumbs is, what Azard Gumbs brings to the table. And again, this is not to say that I don't have the support of Mr. Grant, but I think it is important to, at this point in time, to give the persons in the constituency an idea of who Mr. Gumbs is, what does he bring to the table, and how can he better serve the people of constituency number 4.
I'm glad that you brought that up because, but before I say that, though, I must say that Honorable Lindsay Grant, he was an excellent tourism minister, so that I give to him. I'm glad that you brought this up about what you bring to the people. But Azard, when I go through what you want to bring to the people, and you create this great story, you know, about your upbringing and what you want to serve. But it's hard to imagine that or to see that, because while I was prepping for this conversation, I looked through I searched through your social media.
Yes.
And I see that from the beginning of January, and I kept on scrolling on Facebook, February,
And
March.
perhaps even before that.
And even, you see, before that too, I always follow you. But every day, most 90% of the times, you're speaking about Samal Duggins. Now, the Honorable Samal Duggins, I know that you're running against him. But don't you want people to see your vision of what you will present to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, especially in constituency number 4? What is Azard? What will Azard do for me if he's elected? What are your plans? What's the vision for your country? But instead, in January, Samal Duggins. Every single day almost. February, the same thing. March, April, May, June, July, you go down the line. You're running against Samal Huggins. Yes, I mean Duggins, I understand that. But you're trying for people to vote for you and to understand you. In other words, you need to sell yourself. I'm not saying that you're not doing that, but to me, to some folks out there, rather, it appears that Samal is smiling and saying, well, I don't need to hire a marketing agent. I don't need to spend $250,000 US on a PR team because Azard is doing the job for me. So why do you do that? Do you think that's a great strategy?
Well, I'll first say this, that I do highlight a number of things that I intend to do as the next representative. I have spoken about the issue of our public infrastructure in constituency number 4. I've done videos.
You've done videos
on the
You've done
roads.
videos pointing out. I've seen videos where you spoke of what Samal is not doing.
Well, he is the current representative.
Yes, but what I'm trying to say, I am trying to say that you're talking about your vision, but it appears that you talk about your vision. You can't help yourself but talk about your vision without mentioning Samal.
That's not true. What I will say this, Mr. Duggins, it's nothing personal against him. And one has to understand that Mr. Duggins, when he put himself forward for public office, and he has succeeded in public office, that his actions and inactions have consequences. When you talk about, and I make the point that I have spoken about the improvement of public infrastructure in my constituency. Of course, there is a current representative now. And so I have to highlight why there is deficiency in our constituency. Persons come to me on a daily basis about the condition of the road. Persons would have said to me that they approached the representative and no sort of relief. And roads may seem to some persons as insignificant. But when you have families and they have to walk roads that the terrain is rough and unsuitable for walking, when you have to drive on those roads, it's damage to vehicle, wear and tear.
I get that.
When the rain comes down, persons are living in uncomfortable surroundings. And so although I criticize the failures of the minister, I highlight where I would be different, because public infrastructure in my constituency is one of great importance to me. So when it comes to the roads, we need better roads in constituency.
Since when do you
number
need
4.
the better roads, though?
Roads is something that is ongoing.
Okay, but yes, I understand that. But these, go ahead, because I have to follow up with something.
Roads are ongoing. If a former administration have not completed projects, it is for the current government to do so. When it is that someone sits in the office of representative or government or official, elected member, they assume the responsibility. And so one cannot talk about, how long ago, these roads needed fixing.
Yes, but it appears like you just found your voice, though. We can't be hypocrites here. It appears that you just found your voice.
I would disagree.
Because did you not see these things leading up to? I would disagree. Did you not see these things before 2015 to 2022? How you're just suddenly finding your voice?
Let me say this to you, Mervin. I entered party politics in 2019. I became a political executive member of the People's Action Movement in April 2019. Before then, I had been president of the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association and a worker within government. In fact, I was Crown Counsel. And there was the notion that if you work for the state as a Crown Counsel, you aren't supposed to be involved in party politics.
That's your excuse.
That's not an excuse. That's a fact. The notion was there. It wasn't till after the Leonata situation and the ruling of the court that there was light and a different view on that approach. After the ruling, I took it as my opportunity to step forward in party politics while still serving as Crown Counsel. I assisted the then representative, Mr. Lindsey Grant, in his 2020 campaign. And no sooner that we had the campaign finished, Mervin, and even before the campaign had been finished, during the campaign, there were a number of things that I would have discussed with Mr. Grant, in which, the constituency could have been better. But one has to remember the history. 2019, down to the end of period, around November, there was a talk of COVID-19. We went into an election period in a time of uncertainty. COVID-19 protocols, election was happening.
What does that have to do with speaking about the issue?
This is what I'm saying.
Okay.
At that point in time, my speaking would have been internal because then it had the representative.
You're speaking internal. It wasn't.
No, but why? If I'm a part of a team, if I'm a part of a team, and I could speak to the representative about the conditions of the roads, why? And in my view, that representative is going to do what is supposed to be done.
Was it done? Whatever you spoke about, were they done?
Allow me to finish.
Okay.
and I expect that to be done, right? There's no need for me to speak outside until or unless it does not happen. And I'm going to tell you this. And please don't carry it in. Allow me to finish.
I'm not saying anything.
No, because
I'm not saying anything.
Because based on your swing, it appears as though you're buying into the Labour propaganda. And I'm going to say
No. It's not based on any swing. I'm asking you a question.
Listen to me.
I'm asking you questions, and it is your duty to respond to what I'm asking you. This is no Labour swing. However,
allow me to finish.
Wait 1 second. However, you can answer, I guess, however you choose to respond to the question. But it is my responsibility as the host. It is my responsibility as the host, and what people want to know to ask you those questions.
But it must
because
be factual. And it must.
What did I ask that wasn't factual? Wait. Back up. What did I ask that wasn't factual?
No.
I asked 1 second. I'm the host. 1 second. What did I ask that wasn't factual? I asked you if you came out against the unity when things were not done. Isn't that a legitimate question to ask?
And I was answering that question.
Okay, but you were just going around and around.
No, because it's not about going around. It's about leading to the point. I can't.
Well, we don't have all night.
I can't, but I must answer it.
Okay.
During the time we had COVID-19, and I think a lot of persons are forgetting the impact of COVID-19. We had an election where persons weren't coming in to vote. Soon after COVID-19, there was a snap election. There was hardly any time for any plans to be put in place that were discussed before. As soon as you blink, there was the disagreement between Team Unity and an election in which Team Unity lost.
Okay.
There was no time. And even at that point in time, when there was talk of the election, there were things in my mind that I was saying and
I'm not being to laugh. You said in your mind.
There were things in my mind.
Okay.
And there were also discussions that I had privately.
Okay.
That it would be difficult to go to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis on a snap election, telling them to give you a chance after you have not, during that period in time, had an opportunity because of COVID-19 and now a snap election. And so what I'm saying, one has to look at the context. It wasn't that I sat down and said nothing for a whole 5-year period.
It's just that the people did not hear you.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No, but I am saying it's just you did that internally because your government, your party was in power. So I'm just saying
it was difficult during that time because during that time, let me finish, the focus was lockdown. During that time, persons weren't on the street. During that time, the focus was about how can we have the country safe from a pandemic. And then after those regulations were uplifted, there was the disagreement between Team Unity, the government fall apart.
And this is where we're going to end this part of the program. And it was also a time, you're talking about that was a time when COVID. Yes, it was a time of COVID, but it was also a time when they were at home in peace and quiet, and there were also issues to be discussed. And we did not hear from you then.
No.
But I understand what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that even if I were to talk to the ministers about the conditions of these roads...
You don't believe in going, the rule about not speaking out because you're party in power. You don't believe in that.
No, I don't believe in that. Mervin, listen to what I'm saying. If you are speaking to representatives, at that point in time, Mervin, hardly there was any focus on any movement in the country. Things were locked down. People were more concerned about their safety. We were living in a time that was unprecedented.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
A lot of activities were done. People were at home, as you say. So there weren't people on the streets. There wasn't a normal activity. There wasn't a normal construction building in the country.
I understand.
The country had went down. Not even just our country, the whole region and the world.
So there were no issues to speak about.
I'm not saying that about there was no issues to speak about, but the issues that I speak about now, Mervin, the roads, the infrastructure, and those kind of things, I would have expected to be seen had Team Unity had the 5 years in office without the COVID pandemic. If it was a normal 5-year term and nothing had been done, then that would have been different. But we have to understand that that term was just 2 years.
Well, they threw themselves out of office,
that-
and we're going to get to that. Let's move on. Let's move on. I think we've spent enough time on that. Let's move on. Speaking of team unity that you've so passionately spoke about a few minutes ago, how do you rate team unity, the performance of team unity when they were in office? I know you want to talk about the Labour government, and that's fine, but how would you rate team unity? What did they do right, and where did they fail, and what did they got wrong?
I think Team Unity did right in handling the economy.
Okay.
I think that regardless where you lie on the political divide, that most persons would say that Team Unity did well for the economy. You spoke about my predecessor, Lindsey Grant, and in tourism, he did a fantastic job. Team Unity was able to give sugar workers their benefits. They were able to do a number of social programs, such as the roofing program, the PAP program. We saw that crime had, during the time prior to Team Unity, had risen. We saw a drop in criminal, homicide rates. And in addition to that, you saw that St. Kitts was in a position whereby we were moving forward. The trajectory was saying that St. Kitts and Nevis' economy is doing well, and that, things were in good hands under the Team Unity administration. In fact, had it not been for the disagreements between political parties, safe to say Team Unity would still be in office now.
And we're here speaking with I almost called you honorable, but I'm sure you'll say soon, Azard Gumbs, the deputy political leader of the People's Action Movement, and we're just talking the issues. And if you have not yet, folks, I ask you again to please subscribe to our YouTube's channel so that you do not miss anything, and you'll get the continuous updates on what's happening with Mervin, or like and follow us on social media. That's Facebook and Instagram, Mervin Hanley or Mervin.Hanley or something like that. So search for that. Speaking of the Team Unity, were you in agreement with the breakup of Team Unity? Because some people believe that the split up, the breakup was how may I phrase this now, the biggest political mistake in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. What are your thoughts?
Well, let me first say I was not a cabinet member during that time. And I say that because I was a part of the party executive, and the party leadership at the time felt that the party was not doing well in terms of there would have been persons, the ministers would have wanted certain things, and the explanations are out there. There was the feeling that, they were, what I want to say, there was the conception, and of course during the last election, that there was some undermining by the lead of the Team Unity administration when it comes to the ministers and in their portfolios and ministry. And of course, I say that because persons need to understand, even though you might be in a party and you might hold an office in a party, you're not necessarily in cabinet. You're not privy to the conversations that they have in cabinet. You're not privy to many things. You would be privy to certain things, but you won't be privy to all things, because there's a separation between party, cabinet. There's a separation between parliament and the party. And so what would have taken place at that point in time, like many persons, as part of the party executive, you assume that things were going well. And then there was a time where, there was a discussion that things aren't going so well between the members of the Team Unity.
But, okay, I get all of that, but you still did not answer my question. Were you in agreement with the destruction or the breakup? After you got whatever explanation, were you in agreement, or did you prefer to see Team Unity in office? You would have still been at the probably a senator by now. You'd still probably at council. but you're in opposition. So were you in agreement? Did you voice your concern of breaking up team unity? Did you have anything? You were in the party executive. What did you say, or is it private?
I think those are party matters, but as it relates to the team unity, I think the team unity when it was, it did well for St. Kitts and Nevis.
So you can't say whether or not you preferred if we saved the team unity, you can't say whether or not, okay, it was for the best that there was this breakup, or you can't just answer yes or no?
If members and leadership of a party that formed team unity had disagreements such as the nature that would cause a disintegration like that, then perhaps it was for the best.
Thank you. Now let's get back to some other questions here. I just made some points on certain things, and I have this here because I don't want to miss anything. You did not travel here for 30 minutes, so I just want to make sure that I have just some pointers. For example, now, realistically, when you look at the landscape, the political landscape on St. Kitts, there are 8 constituencies. For the majority, let's not really talk about Nevis yet, but for the majority, Pam, forget the Nevis, needs what? The majority to win 6 seats, right? Where do you see Pam winning 6 seats on St. Kitts?
Well,
and that's part B. And while probably you let me ask this so that you can probably answer at the same time. There have been much chatter about the PLP forming a coalition once again, probably Unity 2.0. Do you see that's the best way of defeating the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party? Or do you realistically and honestly think that Pam can win 6 seats on St. Kitts?
Well, Pam has won 6 seats on St. Kitts before, so the possibility is still there. Okay. I think ultimately it lies in the people and pushing our message and having the persons accept that message. There are some persons who have the view that any government going forward, whether it's a government led by Labour or PAM, would have to be a coalition government. And as it stands now, we've seen where the People's Action Movement has entered government through coalition. I like to say this to some persons, that when you look at the landscape, Labour has 6 out of the 11 seats, right? If they were to lose just 1 seat, they would have 5 out of the 11. And so if there's a coming together of those persons other than Labour, those 6, there you have a new government. And so there are different possibilities out there as it relates to this election. And Labour, although winning 6 in St. Kitts, only needs to lose 1.
Only needs to lose 1. Okay. And you're hoping, well, obviously, you can't wait, right?
Well, I would say this.
But you're depending on them to lose 1, and again that goes back to my question. And then you'll have to think about going over to Nevis and to form the government. Yeah.
Well, Nevis is a player and has always been a player. The Constitution provides that, and so it is a federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So you cannot exclude Nevis.
Okay. So, but Pam can win 6 seats on St. Kitts.
With the support of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, Pam can win a majority with the support of people of St. Kitts and Nevis, because it is the people of St. Kitts and Nevis that decide who steps into government ultimately.
Okay. We've spoken about the party has spoken and has called for the repeal of the SSC legislation. It's been much talk of this legislation. I believe that organizations, after about over 20 of them have met, and many organizations, they would have voiced their concerns about this legislation. And I believe they have voiced their concerns legitimately because of what Nevis has proposed, and I'm going to get to that. But you guys have called for the repeal of it. Why? What did you see? What exactly is wrong with it? And what would you replace it with?
Well, as it is, the legislation speaks about sustainable zones. When we look at the legislation on the closer lens, you see that it gives administrative power to those developers. That is one of the reasons why we're so adamant against it. We see it as an engine or a tool for corruption. We believe that administrative power should be in the hands of the parliamentarians, and that as it stands now, it has the potential to become for you to have a state within a state. And so we stand firmly against that approach, and we have voiced that. We have had our town hall, we have joined match, and so we continue to say that yes, we're not against development, but there shouldn't be development at a point where there seems to be a segregation of citizens, that those persons who are citizens and maybe residing in a sustainable zone operate differently to those outside of that zone. I think for far too, we have left that sort of history and past behind, and I don't think the people of St. Kitts and Nevis welcome that approach.
Destiny Project on Nevis. I believe it's that sort of approach, If you were in cabinet, if you were in office in cabinet, and let us say the SSC legislation is as is, I know that you're against certain things, amend it or repeal it. But destiny comes to you. These are people, over 10,000 people. Well, more than 10,000 families or whatever would like to have their own zone on the island of Nevis. Probably their own, not their own, they'll be able to vote and all of that kind of stuff, right? Would you advise, or in cabinet as a minister, vote to approve, give the Prime Minister the support to sign and approve the Destiny Project right now in Nevis?
Well, what I've said publicly, I would do also in private. I've said before that, and let's not say the Destiny Project, let's say any project that falls into the SSZ as it is now. You understand? Our party has spoken against it, and I stand with my party in the approach that that's not the way in which we feel is best for St. Kitts and Nevis to enter into agreements that would give developers that kind of power. There have been developments in St. Kitts and Nevis before. Why should there be a difference of approach in such a nature, whereby developers have administrative powers, you have different rules, or the potential to have different rules in one area of the country? Why now?
So, in other words, you will vote no in cabinet against Destiny Project?
Yes, whatever I say publicly, I have to do also privately, because there should be no hypocrisy.
Good. Just wanted that on record. Speaking of development, we're hearing a lot about Ritz-Carlton. It's coming to St. Kitts, it's moving forward. And there is a ongoing situation with the few of the operators, local bar, restaurant operators there on the property that they do not own. They're on private lands, and some of it probably crown lands. But you know the story. So how do you feel about that? Whose side are you on in this case with the Ritz-Carlton and the 3 or 4 bar owners?
I'm on the side of the law, whatever the law mandates. We know that based on what has been reported, and we have heard the reports, the government is saying that the bar owners are located on land that is privately owned. We've heard from the bar owners too that they have sought legal counsel saying that they are on public property, which is the beach. And we've heard the response of the government that says that even if you're on the beach, it's for public use and not necessarily commercial. And if there's a commercial aspect of it, then there should be some rules and rules that should be followed. So the court will determine what is the right and fair approach in coming to a decision as to that. That's the legality of it. So
Yes.
there's the legal aspect. But beyond the legal aspect is one of development. And so there must be a balance effect. I'm not saying one should be against development. I know our party is forming a position on this, so I don't want to delve into it too soon. But I would say this, that development must go hand in hand with bringing the people of St. Kitts and Nevis up. And the approach when we look at development, because of course the bar owners have been there for a number of years. They have added to the tourism product. They have added to the sense of community that we have. And I'm not saying that's an excuse to stay on property that you do not belong. But it's a very sensitive matter. And I think something like this needs to be, worked out. Because what you don't want is the perception that government is treading on local business owners. You want at best to handle the situation with the utmost delicacy. You have to be delicate. It's a very delicate situation, and of course, again, both sides have attorneys. Both sides have given reports, and the specific documentation in terms of ownership of land and what's not. I have not seen. It's not that I don't believe, but I'm going based on reports, and I think that the best arbitrator would be the court to handle what happens after that.
Okay, let's talk about, as we wind down, let's talk about East Coast development. Is that the name of it, by the way? You smile, and I want you to tell the people exactly what is the East Coast development, what's happening. There's been talk about, well, I'm not sure if money's passed, millions of dollars. You can give us some insight, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, some insight on East Coast development.
Well, it is a company that was contracted by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis to do houses.
The people of St. Kitts and Nevis government, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. Yeah, to construct houses based on the reports and based on what has been in the media, some up to 2,400 homes. And what East Coast is saying is that based on what was agreed in the contract, the government didn't keep the obligations. And so it is an issue based on, from East Coast standpoint, misrepresentation, that the government would have misrepresented to them or make statements. So when we talk about misrepresentation, it's about making statements that are supposed to be statements of facts, and you find out that it's false. And had it not been for those statements, that party would not have entered into the contract. And so one of the things
and I'm asking Azard this question about East Coast, and the reason why I ask him to tell us more about it, ladies and gentlemen, viewers, that's because he is the attorney for, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, for this East Coast development. So, and the reason why I also said government of St. Kitts and Nevis, aka the people, because it would appear that you are now representing Judas. You're representing the people. I mean, you're representing the company who has filed against the government, aka the people of St. Kitts and Nevis in this. But you can go ahead and explain.
I don't. It's not a matter of Judas. Private citizens file against the government of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Okay, but we're speaking about this guy who came into St. Kitts. Explain about your client. Go ahead.
No, what I'm saying, because you have made a statement. When I worked in the Attorney General's chambers, there were a number of persons who brought actions against the government of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Okay.
And so, just because someone isn't a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis doesn't doesn't exclude them from bringing action against the state.
What happened?
They were promised that there would be service lots. And based on this promise, there was no service lot based on what the clients had said. And so they couldn't carry out the contract. In
And
a
so
nutshell.
now, where are we? Where are the people of St. Kitts and Nevis in all this? Did the government, were monies passed or no?
There would have been, based on what the client said, that, they would have contacted banks. And when you say put monies passed, the clients would have gone to banks, financial institutions to start the project. And based on what was agreed on the government's end, based on what the client said, that the obligations weren't carried out. And so the project wasn't completed.
Did it start?
There were 2 model homes.
Okay.
My issue isn't one as to the political negotiations between the Labour administration.
So what
and
is the
client.
outcome, as the attorney, what is the outcome that you're looking for in this?
Based on the misrepresentation, is that just to put the parties back into the position that they would have been had it not been for the misrepresentation. In a nutshell, that is essentially. So when it comes to misrepresentation, it's basically it's just to put the parties back in the position. They will have spent monies, and those monies to be reclaimed, the contract to be basically void.
Okay. Azard, you bring law, the legal mind to politics. Anything you'd like to see on the books when it comes to the future of St. Kitts and Nevis and what you would like to see legally? Any outdated laws? Any laws that you think should be on the books? And if so, what are they? And
As a practicing attorney and as one who seeks office to represent the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, one such legislation that comes to my mind is our employment laws. Oftentimes, it favors the employer. Persons are dismissed, and when they are dismissed, sometimes without reasons, because there's no obligation to give reasons. And sometimes employers dismiss persons and just give them notice, so to speak, because perhaps for them it's easier to do that.
Right.
And so what it threatens is job security. And persons can be working today and very soon dismissed. And I think that our employment laws need to be relooked. So the employee is given more protection. We look at the civil service, and civil servants are given certain protections. When you look at persons outside of the civil servants, is what I'm talking about when it comes to the act. To give those persons in the private sector who work for the private sector more job security, to know that if it is something has happened on the job, that termination wouldn't be so easily done.
Okay. Now, I want you to look in the camera and speak to the people of constituency number 4 and overall St. Kitts and Nevis. And I want you to speak from a place from your heart to the people and why they should vote for Azard Gumbs. I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell them your plans without mentioning Samal's name. But I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell them your plans, the vision that you have for the constituency of number 4, the people of Old Road. I believe they're listening and watching right now, the people of Virchiles, the people of Challenges, you know the villages. So speak to your people right now before we close off this evening.
My name is Azard Gumbs, born and raised in constituency number 4. I didn't come from a wealthy family or one of high social status. My family instilled in me values of discipline, hard work. They taught me that education opens doors. And on that backdrop, I want to inspire and help other persons from my community, from my constituency, to help them up the ladder My constituency is one whereby, they call persons in my constituency like to say, that we're from the country. And we are as good as any other place in St. Kitts and Nevis. I think that for me, my vision is to see constituency number 4 transform as it relates to infrastructure, as it relates to youth development, as it relates to educational opportunities. I believe that we have a lot of talent in constituency number 4, and if harnessed correctly, we can be the constituency to be admired and desired. I think that constituency number 4 brings with it a unique, something that is unique. Old Road was the first town in St. Kitts. And so we have that rich historical background. And I think that is something that we could build on. I think we can make the whole constituency, when you look at challenges, when you look at Middle Island, when you look at all over challenges with the Bloody Point, Old Road, where the bays where Sir Thomas Warner docked, and look at Middle Island, the tomb of Sir Thomas Warner. When we look at the Carrab Jarins in Old Road, there's so many historical places of interest in Old Road. There's so much talent. I think that our infrastructure needs improving. The roads need improving. I look at the Virtuals High School, and I think that more can be done in terms of building out that infrastructure. That school has been built for some years, and I haven't seen any real renovation in some time. When we look at the sporting facilities in my constituency, just the other day, I walked around the sporting facilities, and some are in very deplorable condition. I actually took up one of the what you call the rim for the netball court on the ground. I think that our community needs to be better managed, better maintained. I think that the sporting facilities could be enhanced. I think that we also could ensure that the mom and pop shops that survived in my time and my childhood should be that the growth of those in my constituency. There's need for the growth of those in my constituency. I was talking to someone just the other day, and they said that the economic activity that was once in constituency number 4 is no more. And that is something that I want to build on. I want to see constituency number 4 grow stronger and better than before. Because, like many of us, you want to know that where you grew up and where you belong is the best place to be for anyone. I come to you as a servant leader. I live among you, and I want to support the people of number 4, and I want to build the people of number 4. I have a desire to see the people of constituency number 4, and by extension, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, in a better condition, whereby we live and work in an environment that is fair and an environment that every child can succeed, every family can have what is necessary to have a good life. And that's my pitch. I say so with no script. I say so not prepared to say anything like this before, but based on my thoughts and based on where I want to see constituency number 4 go. Thank you.
Thank you. And you said it all on With Mervin, gave you that opportunity, and I felt your passion and your love for your people. Mm-hmm. But of course, at this table, we have to hold everyone, including yourself, accountable. Mm-hmm. And so I want to thank you for being here. Mm-hmm. It was truly an honor. I mean, to have you. You traveled and you're here just for this. Mm-hmm. And I thank you. People may be looking at, I'm sitting probably next to the next Deputy Prime Minister, who knows? Mm-hmm. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Tourism. let me not give any ideas or anything. But Azard, thank you so much again for being here. And it was such a privilege and honor to have you.
Thank you, Mervin.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you had it. Mr. Azard Gumbs of St. Kitts representing the constituency number 4 for the People's Action Movement. Who's next at With Mervin? Well, you're going to find out very soon. So thank you again for joining us. And before you leave, please remember to please subscribe to the YouTube's channel. That's it. Thank you. You just did. And like us and follow us on Facebook with Mervin. Thank you again. Until next time.